The anticipation it would be a Louvre edition aristocratic interview. But aback, Prince Harry sat above from Savannah. Guthrie aggregate unraveled faster than anyone expected. He came in confident, but by the time it was over, he wasn't aloof, humiliated. He was kicked out. This isn't a Louvre edition aristocratic controversy. This is the day aggregate afflicted for Prince Harry. Alive on American television. The Today appearance flat was animate with its accepted hum of production. Technicians adapted lights, producers aside into earpieces, and Savannah Guthrie addled through her cards with the calm absorption of an adept journalist. Aggregate looked accepted on the surface, but beneath the able exterior, there was absorption that not alike the aggregation could absolutely explain. Prince Harry was in the building. He had a customed 15 account beforehand than scheduled, dressed acutely in a tailored fleet suit. His Aegis aggregation, confused, like colligiosity, abaft him, and his PR handler, an afraid adolescent woman with a clipboard and Bluetooth headset, hovered close, alarm pre-approved, talking credibility in a hushed voice. Harry nodded along, but kept casual about the flat with article amid suspicion and disdain. This wasn't Buckingham Palace. It was American media territory. Unpredictable, uncontrolled. 5 minutes, Ambassador called. Savannah smoothed her hair, straightened her blazer, and stood up to accost him. "Good morning, Your Aristocratic Highness," she said with a balmy smile. Harry nodded. His accent clipped. "Just Harry's fine." Savannah bent the subtext. Daunt angular into the titles. Daunt acknowledgement the crown, but she offered annihilation added then a gracious, "Of course." She gestured to join the account chairs, and they both took their seats. The cameras rolled. "Welcome to the Today Show," Savannah began. "It's an amusement to accept you with us." "Thank you," Harry replied with a bound smile. Savannah kept her accent light. "You've been busy. Book tours, speaking engagements, a new documentary. We're aflame to apprehend more." Harry nodded. "It's about administration, my truth, really. Setting the almanac straight." His words echoed a byword he had acclimated generally in interviews, and Savannah didn't claiming it yet. The Aboriginal 10 account glided by smoothly. Savannah asked about his latest project, an action announcement Brainy Bloom acquaintance for veterans, and Harry answered with poise, a like charm. He battened foolishly about the cause, name alone, several non-profit partners, and acclimated the byword assignment above the compatible at atomic twice. Admirers above the country apparently nodded in approval. But Savannah was in actuality aloof for promotion. She leaned advanced any time so slightly. "You've generally announced about privacy, how basic it is for your family, abnormally, your children. But some bodies accept begin at abstruse that you've additionally aggregate absolutely a lot of acutely claimed ancestors moments, from interviews to books to a Netflix series. How do you draw the band amid aloofness and publicity?" There it was, the Aboriginal crack. Harry's smile stiffened. "It's about context," he said. "Aback lies are told about you constantly. You accept a right? No, an obligation to actual the narrative. Abnormally aback, it affects your family." Savannah nodded, but didn't let go. "But acclamation, the anecdotal generally agency that advertisement clandestine conversations, doesn't it? And those capacity about your father, your brother, alike, your grandmother, were never allotment of the accessible address until you brought them forward." Harry's eyes narrowed slightly. "I anticipate that's an arbitrary way of putting it. It's aloof, a question," Savannah replied evenly. "A lot of bodies are apprehensive area. The abuttals is," Harry chuckled, "not the balmy kind, the affectionate that signaled frustration. Look, I didn't appear in actuality to be broiled about my choices. I came to allocution about the acceptable this activity is doing." Savannah smiled politely. "Of course, and we'll get to that, but as you said, the accessible anecdotal matters." The restriction in the flat thickened. Savannah confused on to what should accept been a softer topic. "You've said afore that dispatch a back from aristocratic duties was one of the hardest decisions of your life. Do you any time absence that world?" Harry's aspect stiffened. "I absence the service," he said slowly. "Not the institution." Savannah aged her head. "And your family. Do you absence them?" "Blackout then. We're absorption on healing privately." She bent it, a attenuate but cogent dodge. Savannah knew she was walking accomplished line, but Harry's defensiveness was now palpable, and the admirers could feel it too. She smiled, aggravating to accompany it back. "Fair enough. Let's about-face apparatus a bit, Meghan." Harry's eyes airtight up. "Let's not." He disconnected sharply. Savannah blinked. "Sorry, you said this was about me. I'm here, not her. I was aloof activity to ask how she's doing." "She's fine," Harry said, accent icy. "But again, this is about me. I'd acknowledge if we didn't accomplish it about my wife." The ascendancy allowance lights dimmed aloof, hardly for a bartering cue, but Savannah didn't blink. She wasn't abashed by royalty, and she absolutely wasn't activity to let a bedfellow behest the interview's boundaries. Still, she ashened her voice, "Of course. But abounding of our admirers are analytical about how the two of you cross this accessible activity together. Your ally in so abounding ways, and it's admirable. Harry above one leg over the added and exhaled through his nose. We navigated it privately, the way families should. A pause. Savannah let the moment settle. A fresh best, upper abutting card. Let's allocution, legacy. You've generally said you appetite to anatomy, article elusive above titles and tradition. But some critics altercate that afterwards the aristocratic platform. Your ability wouldn't be what it is now. That you've distanced yourself from the acme but still capitalize on the aristocratic connection. How do you acknowledge to that? That was it. Harry's accord cracked, aloof slightly, but abundant for Savannah to annul's the beam of irritation. Are we absolutely activity there? He muttered. Not into the mic, but loud abundant for the bang to bolt it. Savannah's smile never faded. It's a fair question, one that a lot of bodies are asking. Harry leaned back in his chair, a accomplished PR move. But his fingers broke rhythmically on the armrest, betraying his centralized temperature. I'm becoming aggregate, I've done alfresco, that institution, he said. I'm not cashing in on my ancestor's name, I'm actual afterwards. Savannah nodded. Surviving, but still application the titles. The Duke of Sussex is on the book cover, on the documentary credits, on your promotional posters. Harry's eyes now captivated ablaze, abaft him. That's who I am. But is it who you appetite to be, they say? Savannah asked gently. Or is it who you charge to be to breach accordant in a media-driven world? Harry uncrossed his legs, sat forward, and looked anon into the camera for a moment, afresh aback at Savannah. I don't charge relevance, I charge truth. Savannah's countenance aerial aloof slightly, and yet, actuality you are again. Silence. The flat lights reflected the glint in Harry's eyes, and alike the aggregation watching from abaft, the bottle could feel it. Article was building. The prince hadn't exploded yet. But he was close, and Savannah Guthrie, she wasn't a betment down, not yet, not ever. The bartering breach couldn't accept a peer at a bigger time. Central the studio, blackout bashed louder, then the lights overhead. Prince Harry leaned back in his chair, jaw tight, fingers boot the armrest with accelerated taps. His PR better rushed in from the wings, and a side article agilely in his ear. He nodded, already dismissively, his eyes anchored on a broad point abaft the cameras. Savannah Guthrie remained in her seat, aspect poised, sipping calmly from a today appearance mug. She wasn't rattled. She had faced politicians, CEOs, and war generals. She had handled a live advantage of civic tragedies. She knew aback a bedfellow was cracking. The admission began. Coming aback in 4-3-2. The cameras were alive again. We're aback with Prince Harry. Savannah began smoothly, discussing his journey, legacy, and what activity looks like above the palace. Harry offered a bound nod. The smile from beforehand, now aloof, a beef memory. Savannah glanced bottomward at her card, but didn't charge it. I appetite to ask you article that's been trending, afresh and not aloof in the tabloids. There's been a fair that your accessible advancement on Brainy Bloom has been overshadowed by let's alarm it a fresh ancestors' criticism. Do you anticipate your bulletin is accepting absent in the noise? Harry blinked slowly. My advancement stands on its own. If bodies accept to apply on account instead of substance, that's not my responsibility. But you created the headlines. Savannah replied, bendable but firm. The excerpts, the interviews, the docuseries, these weren't leaked. They were appear by you. Harry's eyes narrowed again. This sounds beneath like a chat and added like an interrogation. I'm aloof, giving articulation to what abounding are wondering. She replied, air-conditioned and unfazed. You've consistently said you capital to ascendancy your narrative. I'm aggravating to accept how that ascendancy squares with connected, accessible exposure. Harry laughed sharply. Maybe because every time I try to do article meaningful, I get abject into arresting my existence. Like now. That's fair. Savannah conceded, aptitude in, but don't you anticipate? There's an aberration amid arresting your actuality and monetizing your grievances. There it was. Harry's smile vanished completely. I'm sorry, are you accusing me of profiting off trauma? I'm asking, Savannah clarified. You've announced about your adolescence trauma, your mother's death, your artificial ancestors' relationships, but those beliefs are now allotment of a multi-million-dollar agreeable machine. Do you anticipate your affliction has become commodified? He chuckled bitterly. It charge be nice to sit in that armchair and canyon acumen on how bodies survive. I'm not casual judgment, Savannah said, still calm. I'm analytic, the message. A lot of adolescent men attending up to you, veterans especially, but they're not autograph books or signing Netflix deals. They're ambidextrous with affliction quietly, privately. Does your archetypal advance that healing requires exposure? Harry exhaled forcefully. What it suggests is that bluntness matters, that breaking the eon requires visibility. Savannah didn't blink. Alike aback, that bluntness involves about allotment and awkward your family. Administration, argument messages, voicemails, claimed conversations. The Duke of Sussex sat up straight, restriction in his amateur now arresting alike to admirers at home. I'm not actuality to be disrespected, he said coldly. No one is disrespecting you, Savannah replied, but you agreed to this account alive we'd ask about the things you've about announced on. If those capacity are a back off limits, a fresh seed to appear at all. Harry didn't respond. Instead, he confused in his bench and gave a accomplished smirk. Maybe I abstract the accent of this program. I anticipation I'd be advised, like a animal being, not like a aspersion headline. The jab, afraid in the air. Savannah's professionalism didn't waver, but a beam of animate anesthetized through her expression. You are actuality, advised, like a animal being, she said softly. That's why I'm allurement animal questions, ones that crave accountability, not apposite lines. Harry scoffed. You're accomplishing what the British columnist did, baiting me, afflictive me. All for clicks and outrage. You're not in Britain anymore, Savannah replied. And you're not actuality, chased bottomward by paparazzi. You're sitting in a flat arrive and ascendancy of your own words. The blackout that followed was heavy. Harry confused again, visibly agitated. A fresh Savannah affronted the page. You've announced about your adulation for America, that this country gave you and Meghan a beginning start. And yet, abounding of your interviews except Ben, about what you labored behind, not what you're building. Why is that? Harry's announcement changed. This was it, the moment he'd been dreading. You brought up Meghan, he said aback coldly. I anticipation we agreed this was about me. Savannah blinked. I artlessly referenced your aggregate activity, actuality. In the States, you're pivoting again. Harry continued, adopting his articulation slightly, aggravating to get a reaction. Is that what your producers want? A complete bite. Savannah captivated his gaze. What my producer's appetite is clarity. What our admirer's appetite is sincerity. What our appetite is honesty. Are those things so unreasonable? Harry stood up aloof like that mid-interview. I'm not accomplishing this, he muttered. I'm not activity to sit actuality and be poked and prodded like some bizarre act. The aggregation froze. A camera, a better, aimlessly followed him as he took a few accomplished to join the ancillary of the set, but Savannah didn't move. Prince Harry, she said firm, but respectful. Please, don't airing away. This is your platform. You came actuality, to speak. He affronted back, annoyance categorical in every beef of his face. You don't appetite me to speak, he said, articulation decrepit with disdain. You appetite me to perform. I appetite you to answer, she corrected. Because appropriate now, what millions of admirers are seeing isn't a man attention his family, it's a man abnegation to be questioned. That adult deep. Harry paused and afresh in a particulation aloof loud, abundant to be best up by every bang mic in the studio. He said, this account is over, and absolved off the set. The awning achromatic too black. Savannah remained in her chair, composed. Still captivation, her cue agenda, as if the chatability resume. But it wouldn't. Not that day. The Duke absolved off a live television. Cameras cut. Admirers gasped. But what happened afterwards? The prince's affecting avenue was alike added absolute than the account itself. As the dust acclimatized in flat 1AA aristocratic anecdotal crumbled, not by scandal, but by accountability, and Savannah. Guthrie had aloof done what no tabloid allocution show, or Alcazar columnist secretary anytime could. The today appearance ascendancy allowance erupted into anarchy the moment Prince Harry vanished off set. Producers accolade abaft the scenes, actively whispering into headsets. The flat administrator signaled to cut to a best moments of the anniversary segment, but it was too late. Millions of admirers had aloof witnessed the abortion in absolute time. Twitter exploded oral 30 seconds. Hashtags like hashtag royal meltdown and assortment Savannah-bound Harry began trending afore the abutting ad breach alike aired. Back on set, Savannah Guthrie remained still august, almost she boring, removed her earpiece, exhaled deeply, and looked anon into camera one. The red ablaze blinked on she said, her articulation calm but authoritative. As you aloof saw, our chat with Prince Harry has appeared to an aboriginal end. We'll be back in a moment with added from flat 1A. She didn't flinch. She didn't editorialize. She artlessly stared, bottomward the lens like a adept ballast carrying acclamation, after effects, or breaking news. Because that's absolutely what it had become. Breaking news. Abaft the scenes, Harry's aggregation was in disarray. His PRA better followed him bottomward the hall, argumentation in calm tones as he stormed accomplished the blooming room, ripped the accessory mic off his collar, and hurled it a simulator architecture counter. An inferior staffer offered bottled water. Harry slapped it away. I told you, he seethed. This was a setup. No sir, the abettor whispered, eyes darting about for cameras. It was journalism. Meanwhile, aback in the ascendancy room, controlling. Ambassador Lily Saunders was in the bosom of 1,000 micro-decisions. Do not cull the footage, she ordered. Savannah stays alive at the top of the hour. Basic the panel. In addition, get acknowledged on standby. Or activity to charge. Guidance. By the time the appearance resumed, the internet had affronted into a battlefield. Clips of Harry walking off abounding TikTok. YouTube already had 3 acknowledgement videos with thumbnails like Prince Harry gets ashore alive and Savannah didn't appear to play. Alike, acceptable media advised in CNN ran a breaking chyron. Prince Harry walks off a live interview. This is a setup. Fox account had its own version, aristocratic airing out. Prince Harry melts bottomward on Today. Alike, BBC, about buttoned up, couldn't abide the story. Duke of Sussex leaves us account in accompaniment of distress. But central NBC headquarters, Savannah Guthrie, was unfazed. She sat in the architecture allowance, sipping a tremendous coffee, while architecture artists cautiously affected up the eyeliner that had almost smudged. Carson Daly, ailing in. You okay? Savannah offered a baby smile. Never better. What the hell happened out there? He came in celebration. This was activity to be a coronation, she replied. Turns out it was a mirror. Hours later, NBC uploaded the abounding unedited interview, including the walk-off, to their official YouTube channel. Oral an hour. It had 3 actor views. Comments caked in faster than moderators could browse them. This is journalism. Respect to Savannah Guthrie. Harry wants privacy, but shows up everywhere talking about his family. Pick a lane. The alms is unreal. She was professional, he was petulant. So now alike Americans are calling out the aristocratic nonsense. Bravo, never apparent. Harry this ashamed back, that Oprah interview, yikes. Meghan Markle conspicuously was silent. No amusing media statement, no spokesperson. Aloof, an awesome agenda silence. Meanwhile, NBC's PR aggregation fielded bags of media inquiries. Bookers from battling shows approved badly to get Savannah on air to allocution about the interview. She declined. This isn't about me, she said artlessly to her team. It's about would he appear, anxiously or not. The abutting morning, British newspapers were gleeful. Daily Mail, Harry ashamed on American soil. Again, The Guardian. Guthrie asked, what aristocratic columnist wouldn't the Sun airing of shame? Prince loses artifice, alive on air. Alike Buckingham Palace, abundantly tight-lipped, issued a attenuate 2-line statement. His Majesty the King Charcoal focused on his accessible duties and family. He will not be commenting on the Duke of Sussex's contempo interview. It wasn't support, it was an admonishment by omission. Central Montecito, the affection was icy. According to bearding sources, Harry banned calls from chief aides at Netflix and Penguin Random House. A planned route for his accessible documentary was agily cancelled. The botheration wasn't the walk-off. The botheration was what Bodius saw afore it. A man unraveling beneath simple questions. A man affronted not at lies actuality told, but at the accuracy actuality questioned. After that week, Savannah alternate to her accepted ballast duties. She never already referenced the adventure Anon on air, but during a clandestine chat with her producer, she said article that would answer above newsrooms for years. He anticipation his appellation would absorber him. I reminded him that in this country, titles don't admission immunity. Accuracy demands answers. It became a quote, one that political journalists began to share, one that was engraved on a app. Central, the Today appearance ascendancy allowance, oral weeks. The account went bottomward as one of the best talked about advertisement moments of the decade. Journalism schools began teaching it. Analysts dissected Harry's anatomy language. Backward night shows had a acreage day. SNL aired afterward Saturday with a siculate-tongued Savannah amateur and a bumbling abashed Harry, and conceivably best, interestingly, the accessible assessment began to shift. Not absolutely adjoin Harry, but absolutely abroad from him. He was no best the wronged adolescent brother of William. He was no best the absorbing adept who had already laughed with the Obamas and danced in Africa. He was no best the torchbearer for avant-garde royalty. He was a cautionary tale, an admonition that vulnerability afterwards accountability becomes achievement, and that every platform, no amount, how anxiously managed, has the abeyant to about-face into a date for your own undoing. So, what do you think? Was Savannah too harsh? Or did Prince Harry assuredly accommodated an announcer who banned Tabot, a royalty? Drop a animate version beneath and let us apperceive which moment larboard your jaw on the floor. And if you appetite added atomic interviews, unfiltered truths, and abrupt meltdowns, don't balloon to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. This was Answer Stories. Area titles don't matter, but accuracy consistently does. See you in the abutting one.